Chapter 14, Segment 1 begins by discussing what are emotions. An emotion is a subjective mental state that is usually accompanied by distinctive behaviors, feelings, and involuntary physiological changes. This is usually accompanied by the display of a distinctive facial pattern for each of the different emotions, and that allows people from different cultures to recognize the expressions. Emotions are evolved characteristics, and facial displays of emotional experience may help us get along with others. The next section discusses broad theories of emotion, emphasize bodily responses. Sensations of emotional states, including heart racing, hands and face becoming warm, palms sweat, and stomach queasy, are the result of the autonomic nervous system. The two divisions of the autonomic nervous system being sympathetic, which is the activates our body for action, and the parasympathetic, which prepares the body to relax and recuperate. The next section is titled, Do Emotions Cause Bodily Changes or Vice Versa? According to William James and Carl G. Lang, the emotions we experience are caused by the bodily changes. These different emotions feel different and are generated and thus generated by different constellations of physiological responses. So all in all, the James Lang theory states that our experience of emotion is a response to the physiological changes that accompany it. There are no distinctive autonomic pattern for each emotion, so therefore we can't link specific emotions to specific bodily processes. In opposition to the James Lang theory, there's the Cannon-Bard theory, which states that our experience of emotion is independent of the simultaneous physiological changes that accompany it, and the brain decides which particular emotion is an appropriate response to the stimuli. Cerebral cortex simultaneously decides on the appropriate emotional response and activates the autonomic nervous system to prepare the body for action or to rest. The next section is titled, The Stanley Schachter Proposed a Cognitive Interpretation of Stimuli and Visceral States. Schachter emphasized cognitive mechanisms within emotion, leading to the cognitive attribution model, which is a theory that our emotional experiences result from cognitive analysis of the context around us, such that physiological changes may accentuate emotions but not specify which emotions we experience. Which emotions we experience depends on the cognitive systems that assess that context. In these contexts including current social, physical, and physiological situation. The emotional state is the result of an interaction between physiological arousal and cognitive interpretation of that arousal. Our emotional experience at one time may affect how we interpret later events. The famous study to support this was to give serotonin to a group. One group was told that their hearts would rate, and the other group was told that it would not. And the participants who were warned reported no emotional reaction, while the participants who were not warned experienced emotions. The emotion that they experienced was affected by whether the Confederate in the room was happy or angry. So they were happy if the Confederate was happy, and they were angry if the Confederate was angry. Overall, people receiving serotonin reported feeling more intense emotions than people receiving saline, which is in accordance with the James Lang theory, being that bodily reactions are experienced as emotion. A polygraph is a lie detector, which is a device that measures several bodily responses such as heart rate and blood pressure. It's very poor at distinguishing liars from anxious innocents because for the most part, all negative emotions involve the same physiological responses. Similar positive emotions elicit a different array of autonomic responses than do negative emotions, but they're all involve the same physiological responses. The next section is emotions from the evolutionary viewpoint. Darwin published the expression of emotions in man and animal and believed that certain expressions of emotions are universal among people of all regions of the world, and also that non-human animals show comparable expressions of some emotions. And lastly, that aspects of emotional expression may have originated in a common ancestor because this perspective encompassed behavioral phenomena and physiological mechanisms of emotional display. Redican then believed that he saw distinctive facial expression in non-human primates, going with Darwin's non-human animals show comparable expressions of some emotions. The three that he saw were grimace, which is in association with fear or surprise, tense mouth, which is in association with anger, play face, which is similar to a human laugh. Next section is titled How May Emotion and Emotional Displays Have Evolved? Evolutionary psychology is a field devoted to asking how natural selection has shaped behaviors in humans and other animals. Emotions are broad motivational category programs that coordinate various responses to solve specific adaptation problems. Through natural selection, an effective program for dealing with danger could have evolved, one of those being fear, the evolutionary benefit being those who have fear are more likely to survive and pass on to future generations. And therefore now we have fear as an emotion. Fear leads to a shift in perception, attention, cognition, and attention to focus on avoiding danger and seeking safety, as well as preparing physiologically for fight or flight. Emotions overall are an evolved program that help us deal quickly and effectively with a wide variety of situations. The next section is titled Individuals Differ in Their Emotional Responsiveness. Individual response stereotypy is the tendency of individuals to show the same response pattern to particular situations throughout the lifespan. Babies who reacted to being swabbed with rubbing alcohol have high reactivities, and many went on to develop anxiety disorders in adulthood, and as well in adulthood showed an exaggerated activation of the amygdala, which is an association with fear, in response to strangers' faces. The last section is titled How Many Emotions Do We Experience? There may be a core set of emotions that underlie more varied ones in the world of feeling. These 8 basic emotions being grouped into 4 pairs of opposite, being joy and sadness, affection and disgust, anger and fear, and expectation and surprise. All other emotions come from this basic array of the pair of opposites. One clue to identifying the number of emotions is examining the number of different kinds of facial expressions that we produce and recognize in others. And that is Chapter 15, Segment 1.